Say if anyone can write in Spanish or Italian in the thread, that
That's a good
translation,
idea.
that would be great if someone on could do that. So welcome everybody to this month's Bard's Call, all about another new class, intro class for you guys to facilitate. So this one is called Create More Time, More Money, More Joy, and it's based on the Joy of Business book by Simone Milasas. And I'm so excited for this intro class for you guys. And really, we've made these classes. So now you have this one, the one based on Susanna's book, How Different Are You Willing to Be? The one based on her pragmatic psychology book. And then the How Much Are You Willing to Receive? Based on the Money Isn't the Problem You Are book by Gary and Dane. There's also kind of a different format one that's not based on a book, but the intro class out of the box. So you guys have like 4 different classes now kind of made for you with here's your class, here's your manual, here's questions you can ask that are really designed to engage people and invite them to access. As you guys know, some people just want to sign up for bar sessions with you and never take a class. Some people are ready to take a day-long class right away without knowing anything. And other people really like to know more and find out more about Access and are excited about learning more tools. And so these intro classes are really designed for that. We recently, a couple days ago, Gary Douglas did a call for all of us who are certified facilitators. And it was amazing. He talked a lot about that engaging with people is really what creates a business and creates in general. So it's not so much about, hey, here's my bars class, here's my bars class, here's this, here's this. It's just being present and engaging with people. It doesn't even have to be about access, right? It's talking to people, calling them, interacting, being social. If you ever are around Gary, or he is literally answering a call, talking to someone, texting to someone, facilitating a class 24/7. Like he's completely, and it's not always about access, but he really lives that of engaging. And so these classes are for you to share in the world and really invite people. They could have done access forever, or they could be totally new. And they're written from a place of invitation and engagement for you guys to be able to create these short kind of intro classes and invite people to them. So that being said, do you guys have any questions before I kind of show you the manual and the graphics and everything like that?
Hey, Emily,
Yeah.
you started to say earlier that the languages that are coming up for the Joy of Business book that's in translation almost ready.
You mean you want me to list those? I don't.
Sorry.
I don't want to promise languages that aren't ready because I'm not sure in the whole book production thing how long it's going to be. So we'll go with what we have now, really, because that's ready for you. And then just know that there are more.
Okay, cool.
A couple more we have in the works. Okay, awesome. So let me share my screen. Is there going to be a translation for the book in Dutch? Yes, I think Dutch is one of the ones that's on the list. Romanian, September. So you guys are great. You can answer for me. Sarah, I can't share my screen because I'm an attendee, not a host. Can you fix that?
Well, that's no good.
That doesn't work.
As an attendee.
If you make me a co-host, I think yeah.
You're added there now, Em.
Thank you. Okay, so here is the manual for you guys. You can download it, print it out for your participants of the class. Just print it for you to look at, now if you'd like to. Create More Time, More Money, More Joy. And we do them in color. You guys don't have to print them in color though. And a lot of this is taken from the book. So as you guys know, as we've done a few of these now, for people to come to your class, they don't have to have read the book. They can, but it's not a prerequisite. Anyone can come to this class. So a great idea is, let's see how many. So you can see there's just lots of great tools, really simple. It refers to the chapters in the book where they come from, so that if you do have copies of the book with you, because you can sell them in your class, You can buy them wholesale before class, sell them in class. You can, if you're an affiliate, you can put the link to the Joy of Business book in your emails, like after someone registers, or someone already might have the book and you can encourage them to bring it to class. But you can see that basically, and my computer's freezing, so sorry. I want to show you more, but it's freezing. That you guys can use the manual that way, print them out, and you can use the book with it, but they don't have to have the book beforehand. On the Ning, where all this is, let me show you guys. When you go on the Ning, there's this where it says marketing resources. If you go to the drop down, it says intros to facilitate. And that's this page that lists all of them. So here's the new one. And that's where you have the links for the manual, the links for the graphics, how to order books in bulk. So that's probably the easiest way to find these. And here are the past ones that we've had Zooms on. So the one on Susanna's book, How Different Are You Willing to Be? Taste of Out of the Box. And so they're all there for you. So that's probably the easiest, fastest way for you guys to find all the intro classes on the Ning. And then along with the manual, there are these really beautiful graphics that Melanie made for you guys. And they've been translated. So the manual and all the graphics, when you click on the link from the Ning or from the email, you'll see you've got Polish, Spanish, Italian, simplified Chinese, Japanese, German, French, Croatian, English, and Turkish. And so in those, you'll find the translated manual, and then you'll also find the graphics. And if my computer would go faster.
It's all in one folder there for ease.
Yeah, there we go. The other link just wasn't working. So there's really cool, just these beautiful square graphics for you guys to share with some great quotes from Simone that you can use to, again, like engage people. So a lot of times you just might share these leading up to a class, have a class on a schedule, but you don't have to have every time you talk to people, have it be about the class. You can also just put the information in front of people. And then there's a Facebook event size that if you do create a class, you can make an event on Facebook. So all the graphics are done for you. And you can create your own, of course. But these are for you to facilitate in your language in person. So we get a lot of questions about that as far as like, can I do this on Zoom or can I do it? And these really are designed for you guys to do in person and to give to bars facilitators. Because as a BF, before we had just the bars class to facilitate. So we wanted to give you more options. If you're a certified facilitator or if you've done a choice of possibilities class, you guys can facilitate books in different ways. But for this class with this graphic and this manual, this is designed for BFs and for you guys, but we want you to facilitate it in person in your language. And if you want to do something else about business, then you can do that as a CF in a different way. But in this format for this class, it's designed for you guys to engage with people in your community in that way. Cool. I love seeing all the translators. So do you guys have questions? I haven't looked in the chat, so.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Emily?
Asking about the length. Oh, there we go. Hi.
Yeah, I have a question. Because for the first time, the money is not your problem. You said in the Zoom you have to give the class in your own language, and it's not in Dutch, so I can't teach that class. Now I know that the book Joy of Business is coming in July in Dutch. And now I'm asking, is the manual, this new manual, this class, is this also coming in Dutch? So we Dutch people can also give the class because I love Joy of Business. So
great question. Yeah, and I know we have a book launch going on in Amsterdam too. So yes, we'll actually start that now so that it will be ready. Because you could, with the book coming that soon in July, you'd be fine to facilitate this ahead of time. Without, they won't be able to buy the book that month, but they could get it after at the book launch. So that's like a kind of special case.
Okay. Woohoo!
Yay!
Yeah!
Someone is asking about French. We have it in French. Portuguese, this Joy of Business is not in Portuguese. We actually, Simone has two books. The other one is Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. And we chose to translate that one quickly into Portuguese. So the Joy of Business book is not in Portuguese at the moment. So I'm sorry. And what else is possible? It is available in French. What about the Hungarian one? Betsy, do you know about the Hungarian one? Because do we have the Joy Business book in Hungarian? I know I should know all 11 languages in my head, and sometimes I do not.
I know about the Hungarian one.
Yay! Hi, Simone.
Oh my God, hang on. The Hungarian one has been in translation for about 3 years. If you all want to put up a protest and contact Maya and Julia and see if you can get it done faster, I'd be really grateful. We just put a new date on it. Hang on. I'm just going to get my... So they're working at it.
And thank you guys for all the requests. I think, one of the reasons we picked this book, I think of all the Access books, Simone has invested in translating this one in the most languages of any book. And we keep doing it and translating it. And so we're grateful for all the requests. And some of them have taken longer than others.
And it's taken like 3 years. So that's why I'm laughing. It's whatever. But it would be great. The more demand, the more you send them a text, send them a Skype, ring them. And also, we've got, yesterday, I started to put the Portuguese one into translation.
Yay!
Yes.
Awesome. So, Simone, we kind of went through the manual. I don't know how long you've been on, and the graphics, like the basic stuff. And, one of the reasons why I love the Joy Business book, some of you might have heard me tell this story about Simone before, but when I first started working with Access, Simone and Joy Business was the first area I started working in. And I was convinced and terrified that I knew nothing about business. And sure of it, I grew up in a family where kind of entrepreneur was sort of a dirty word in a way. And so I was terrified, but at the same time, I think Joy Business was the second Access book I had ever bought. And it was covered in notes and, I had every page dog-eared and underlined all these clearings. I thought, I don't know what I am doing with this book. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm not even working. But there was something in it that resonated so much with me. And then I started working with Simone. And I think one of the first questions she asked me on our first meeting was, well, what do you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I know? Maybe I know something about business. And this book is like one of my favorite and most inspiring like books in Access. And we made the class about like create more time, more money, more joy, because you may have noticed the excuses that everyone uses to not create our time and money. And a lot of the books and the tools in this book from Simone are about creation, about money, about, not being overwhelmed, not making time relevant. So that's why I'm really excited about it. And one of the reasons we chose it. And then Simone, if you want to talk about anything really about the Joy of Business, like if you've never taken a class with Simone, she's doing Choice of Possibilities classes now, but she's the creator of Joy of Business, and those classes have no prerequisites. The first Joy Business class, there's a 1-day business and money class, and then there's also a 3-day master class called Business Done Different. And neither of those classes have prerequisites, and they're open to everyone. And Simone's going to be doing her first new rewrite of the masterclass in Paris in July and online, July 6th through 8th. So really, it's these tools. A lot of people, there's an invitation to access in a different way than a lot of other things are. So, Simone, do you want to say anything on that?
Sure. So the one I'd like to say, I'd like you all to recognize where you do have a joy of business, because in this reality, what's projected at you is you're supposed to hate going to work. You're supposed to, live through the drudgery of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Wednesday, it's halfway through the week. And then on the weekend, you're supposed to, relax or drink and party or something. And what I found over the years is the amount of people who actually have a joy of business and they haven't acknowledged it. At my dinner table when I grew up, we weren't allowed to talk about business and money. So we had to talk about things that I thought were so irrelevant. And yet all I wanted to talk about was business and money, because I saw it as something that was really creative and fun. So just recognize the places in your life where you have been like that and where it does give you a joy. Because a joy of business, it's like money follows joy. It's like joy doesn't follow money. It's not that place where you're like, oh, once I get this amount of money, then I'll be happy. It doesn't work like that. It's like, so money follows joy. So if you start to acknowledge the places that you do love, and if you haven't read the book, read the book first, obviously, before you do the class. But you'll see things like there's places where you think that you have a problem, right? You've decided you have a problem, or you have a struggle, you have a hardship with creating your business, with creating your bar's business. What if you started to use the tools yourself? Because the thing is, all businesses need a creator, connector, mover. They need that energy. So you may be a fabulous facilitator and love facilitating, and yet you're like, I only get 1 or 2 people to my classes. Well, what if you hired a connector? What if you hired someone who just connected for you? That's all they did. They connected and you pay them a percentage, or, you know, you work out some sort of deal with them and you do that. There's always different ways to expand your business. If there's any of that, I sort of call it like that crunch, that funky energy where it's like, you know, it's like, well, ask another question. Ask, who or what else do I have to add to the business? And what is this stuck point of view that if I didn't have it would change my entire business? So keep asking questions. Use the tools in the book. It is, I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard the story of when it was many, many years ago in Perth, Australia. I was with Gary Douglas, and I was asking him a question about what somebody was choosing to do. And I said, there's no joy in this choice. And he was like, but it's business. And I went, yeah, exactly. there's no joy in the choice, you know. I was like, it's business. Why, you know, it's joyful. Why wouldn't they choose something that's joyful? And he looked at me and he went, what are you talking about? And I said, well, people do business for the joy of it. And he was like, no, Simone, they don't. Yeah, they do. No, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. And we had this little back and forth until I finally went, oh. And he went, Simone, you're different. So please recognize the difference that you be again. And it's like, if you have created a business, I mean, I look at Emily telling the story of, you know, she's a stay-at-home mum. That's a crying shame for her to, if she chose that for the rest of her life, because she's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. And what she's creating in the world and what she's putting forth in the world is friggin' awesome. And if she hadn't been empowered to be her and know what she knows, then she might still begrudgingly, she loves her kids, don't get me wrong, but she can hire a cleaner.
Exactly.
So it's like, please follow the energy of what you would like to create in your life, because what you would like to create in the life is going to be the energy of what changes the world, of what creates the changes for you too and everyone that you know. So I could go keep on talking because I'm not shy. So if anyone has a question, let me know.
And Simone, let me add, as people are thinking of their questions, because we'd love to have your questions in the chat or ask them. But I'm assuming, because most of you are on the Zoom, you did get Simone's gift to you, which is the Joy of Business book as a PDF, as a download PDF. And that's for you guys as bars facilitators as a gift. It's not to share. But obviously, if you're having a class, you can invite people to buy the book. But there's so much in there. And Simone, when you're talking, one of the things that I'm reminded of, that when I was a stay-at-home mom and I had 2 little girls and youngest one was in diapers, and one of the tools that you have is, what can I add to my life? And I thought that was the most insane question to ask at the time, because I had decided,
so busy.
Yeah, I'm so busy. Why would I ask this question? How could I possibly do anymore? And it's so funny because so many bars facilitators are just thinking of, you know, the questions we get a lot about business and I can't create or I don't have enough. And I'm wondering just if maybe you could talk about, what if you need to add something to your bar's business, or schedule more classes, or add more intros, or more gifting and receiving. It's often when you add things that you're actually excited about your business. Like if you've gotten bored or overwhelmed, it's like the two, it's a great question to ask, is what else can I add, and see if it lights you up. It's crazy, but you've inspired me so much with that, Simone.
Well, you know what, when I first heard that tool from Gary too, I thought it was crazy because, you know, I was so busy. So, and I would change that question slightly and ask, who or what else can I add to my business? Because it could be like a new computer, you know, and it's like, oh no, now it's faster, or you get faster internet, or, you know, you add someone who goes and picks up your mail from the mailbox. So it takes out, you know, half an hour of your time. It's like there's small things that you can add. So it's not like I've got this to-do list and how many more things can I add to my to-do list? It's who or what else can I add? It's when you ask a question, it's not linear and it's not about, you know, finding out the logical answer. That's not how Access works. Hopefully you know that by now. That's not how asking a question works. It's you ask a question and what happens is you open the door to the universe and the universe goes, oh, you would like some help. You'd like something else. You'd like to create more. That's the whole energy of it. You would like more. So Emily with her 2 kids, 1 in diapers and still working, you know, what else can I add to my life? It could be anything. It could be like, you know, a coffee machine instead of actually having to go and get coffee, like anything. And it could also be more projects, more classes. Because if you've ever noticed, if you ever get that, I don't get bored. I always find something to do. I've never, even as a kid, I never got bored. I always created something because I always liked being on my own as well and just doing anything, you know. But if you do have that energy that appears like boredom, ask who or what else can I add to my life? And usually you don't have enough to do. You know that old saying of, you know, if you want something done, give it to someone who's busy, give it to someone who's working a lot. Exactly. I mean, how many times if you have one thing to do, it takes you all day to do it. And when you have 20 things to do, it's just like boom, 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 boom. You don't think about it, you just create. So ask who or what else can I add to the business? And or to my life. When I first started, I hired an assistant. I never thought that I could have an assistant. I was like, how do I do that? Like, how do I give away things to do? Or, you know, it's just going to be if I do it myself, etc. And what I started looking at was when I woke up in the morning, everything that I did, I went, oh, okay, could somebody else do this? And I literally started with having someone go and get my mail. And then they opened the mail. And then they sorted it, and then they filed it. And then I went, oh, they could pay the bills. So I started with these small things, but it freed up so much time for me. So start looking at control freaks of magnitude. How many of you are control freaks of magnitude? Everyone should be putting their hands up in the air. Yes. So what would happen if you're out of control, out of definition, out of form, structure, significance, out of linearities, and out of concentricities with your bars business? And everything that is, times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. So start being willing to be out of control. And then the next thing I know you're all going to say, but I don't have the money to pay someone to come along. Well, what if it wasn't money? What if you said, I'll run your bars once a week or twice a week, or I'll pay you a percentage of the bars class. I'll give you a free session and a free bars session. You know, free processing session and free bars session. Could be anything. So, or you could say to them, hey, why don't you buy the books, Access books, and at my classes you get to sell them and you get a percentage of it, or you get all the profit from selling the books. But something to contribute to someone, you know, doing the registrations, getting people there, phoning people and saying, you know, hey, do you know of anyone who's interested in coming to this bars class? So there's always a way to create something greater. And everywhere that you've always come up with the problem to stop what can actually come into actualization, where you destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. I'm not sure if you've heard, but at the 7-day event in Langkawi, it was friggin' amazing. It was awesome. Best 7-day ever yet so far until the next one. And it was end of problems and beginning of possibilities. And it was a game changer for me, which I know Connor Hill, Megan's brother, said, that's awesome, Simone. You've been in Access for 17 years and you still have something that shows up that changes your entire life. And it seriously has everything. So it was brilliant. But it's amazing how many times you start to look at that you have a problem rather than a possibility. So we looked at this for 7 days. I know there's a lot of classes, you know, any class that Gary and Dane do, or myself or a lot of other people, will have the problem stuff in it. But my small tool for you here today is anytime you think you have a problem with your business or with anything, ask, if this wasn't a problem, what would it be like to be a possibility? So turning problems into possibilities, because they're not really problems. You create it as a problem. You actually have a whole bunch of possibilities, but you're so quick to go to make it into a problem rather than, oh, what possibility is available here? What gift of possibility? Hey, I just want to say too on that, yes, I did gift all the bars facilitators in the world, which was a lot, the Joy Business book. And in one language, at least that we know of, the first thing that they started to do was share it to everybody. That's really not very cool. It's like, you know what? I gifted it to thousands of people, which means that a whole lot of people aren't making commission or aren't making money off selling the book. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to increase the businesses that you all have chosen to create. And passing it on to other people is so not honoring of me or Access or the tools. So please don't do that. It's a gift for you. You can buy books at wholesale and then sell them. Make some money. It's like spread the seeds of consciousness of Access through the business tools, okay? So please don't do that, because it was disappointing to see that how quickly that occurred in a certain language. So just wanted to add that, what Emily said. Cool. So any questions or?
This is Karen. I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm in business with my husband also, and we're trying to sell the business, and I haven't been really working at it because I'm working my businesses, but I get the hit that I should help him to get everything in order. But every time I think about it, it feels light to do that. But then every time I physically want to go do something, I start dragging.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How long ago did you leave the business?
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So what
Ooh.
if you acknowledge that you totally left the business and now look at it in a different way? Like, it's like, all right, so what could I be to help my husband here? And ask him, hey, what can I be for you to help this sell? I'm sorry, because it's interesting how when you decide to leave a business and you take all your energy out of it, rather than, okay, so if I put some energy into this, what does he require to sell the business?
And do I do that every single day?
You could, yes, and you can do it until you perceive that you actually got. I mean, did you notice you just changed your energy?
Yes,
you realized,
I did. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. So it's just the awareness of it. I mean, when I first met Gary and found Access, I was like, holy shit, this guy's talking about everything that I wanted to create with my business, except he had a much quicker way of doing it, like with the tools and the processes. So many, I think it was like 18 months later, like down. And then I was like, what's going on? And Gary said, well, when did you leave the business? And I went, oh, when I met you. Like, so energetically, I left because I was like, oh, I'm done. I found something better and greater. Yet this business was still paying my rent and paying for everything. So I went, oh, I need to pay some attention. So then I went, okay, business, what do you require? And then I actually got someone in to run the business who loved it. Because I was sort of like, oh, this annoying little, kid, that's just like always like, I want this, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. And I was like, damn, So it's just interesting how we pull our energy out of things and we're not even aware of it. So as soon as you're aware of it, you can change it.
Okay, awesome.
That's the key to all Access tools, by the way. You're welcome, Karen. If you are aware of it, you can change it. If you're not willing to be aware of it, you can't change it. That's simple.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Simone. This is Gina. I have a question about teaching this class, and we're teaching it for new people.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens, like, I'm looking at the part where it says money follows joy.
Yep.
And they say to you, how do you know that?
Okay, so you don't have to prove anything in Access, ever. That's the best thing about being a facilitator of Access. All you have to do is have a question. So if someone said, how do you know that? Always put it back onto them. And it's like, the one thing that I was so grateful for when I first met Gary is he said, don't trust me. Don't trust me. Don't trust anything I say. If it doesn't feel right to you, don't use it. Don't choose it. you know. I mean, the tagline of Access is empowering you to know that you know. So empower them. And if they want you to prove it, then ask them and just say, hey, you know what? What's the worst thing that can happen? What if you gave it a shot? Like, is what you've been creating so far working for you? Put it into a question. And if they say yes, then go, well, keep doing it. If they say no, then go, well, what if you could do something different? I mean, Einstein's, what does he say? That if you do the same thing and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. So how many of you have been doing the same thing and expecting a different result rather than actually change? So everything that is, times that God's in, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And you could say to them, you know what? What's the worst thing could happen if you gave it a shot? Oh, you'd be joyful and you might not have any money. What's different about that now? You have no money, but you're not happy. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
put it in. What's that?
That was just somebody coming off mute.
Kill them. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you.
But don't you want to bring back the old days sometimes? Off with their heads. Doesn't it make you smile? Damn, all this like, you know, CSI testing now and get caught. I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about. So, Lala is nodding her head big time. I like it.
Do you guys have other questions?
Yes, here's Caroline. I would love to ask, how long do you think this class would be a good, like a 2-hour or a 4-hour class?
Can I tell you that one topic that people never seem to be short of questions is business. So you might need to make it something for you. It's going to be at least 2 hours. It's also going to depend on who comes to class, because everyone who comes to class, you know, every question opens another door, right? And can I say, the first time I ever did a class, it was a money class, and I did it at my house, and I had like 12 people in my lounge room, and I was upstairs in my bedroom going, shit, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm going to have to go down and tell everyone that they have to go home and I'll give their money back. I can't do this. I have no idea how to facilitate. And I went, oh God, what's the worst thing that can happen? Because literally, look at what is the worst thing that could happen. Oh, you're sitting there and you have nothing to say. Okay. So I went downstairs and I went, okay, I can do this. And I literally started the class with, what does money mean to you? And of course, that question brings up a whole lot of energy. And then I just kept thinking, all I have to do is ask questions. I just have to ask questions. I don't have to have an answer. So please know that there's so many facilitators out there who are brilliant, who were not so, you know, gung-ho the first time they went facilitating. They did have reservations. But like I said, the two tools that I loved was, as a facilitator, you have to have questions. And my go-to was always, you know what, I don't have an answer to that, but what I'm going to do is do my best to find out some more information for you. And then I would go away and ping someone, call someone and say, hey, you know, can you give me more information on this? Or look up the reference material. Because you don't have to be, you know, Albert Einstein. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be Gary Douglas. You don't have to be Dane here to go and facilitate now. The tools that you have will create so much change. So I would do at least 2 hours. And if you need, because people will keep on going and going and going sometimes. So maybe at like, you know, 4 hours and have a break. Like, you'll know that energy when people are like, and they look like dogs watching television. And there's just like this, you know, flat line in the room. Then have a break, get them to eat salt, sugar, water, talk to each other, and then come back. Don't be afraid to have a break, even if you're freaking out, you know, and then come back, and then at 4 hours be like, you know what, I think we're done, but there's other classes that are available. I have a bars class, you know, or if you are, I can see lots of facilitators on here too. Got a foundation class coming up, or, you know, recommend a Joy Business facilitator on accessjoybusiness.com. We've got the 1-day class, Access Business and Money. And then we have the 3-day class, Business Done Different. So always, I mean, my point of view is always empowering people to know that more exists. And I have a weird sense of, I never did competition that way with facilitators. So in Australia, it's like when I started being worldwide coordinator of Access, I was doing a bunch of classes and I just didn't have as much time to do it. So I passed all of my clients on to other people. And I remember someone saying to me, why did you do that? They're your clients. And I was like, well, these people are asking for more tools. These people are asking for more consciousness. Why would I not? It's like, you know, you can't, if you hold on to something, then that's all you'll ever have. But if you're willing to let go, you can have the world. Cool.
Hi, Simone.
Yes.
This is Marilyn. I'm sorry I came on late. But
I'm sorry you came on late too.
Yeah.
Punish.
My air conditioner went out in Costa Rica. But I was wondering if you'd gone over what's a real question and what's not. Because I think that can confuse people. They think they're asking a question when they're really having a conclusion with a question mark.
Well, most people ask questions with already an answer in place.
Right.
So, and that's something that you will all discover. And I just ask that you be aware of it when you do it yourself. I mean, I know people have been in Access for years and years and years, and they still ask questions, and they have like this array of results that they think will come from it. Rather than, what if you asked a question and you were willing for anything to show up? So I would ask that you look at that personally. Like when you ask a question, go, oh, am I actually really asking a question? Or have I decided I just want a little bit of change? So instead of a large amount of change. So just pock and pot everywhere that you've decided that there's already an answer, already a result in place, rather than when you ask what else is possible, you're really willing to have what else is possible. It's like, look through all of your questions again and ask it from the place of, you know, infinite possibilities, not from finite possibilities. Okay, and that's a whole other, I mean, to me, when I learned, I used to study karate, Shotokan karate, and when I first started, you know, you'd learn to punch, you'd learn to kick, and it was just like you would go to training and you would do this, and, you know, then you would have to do the same punch and the same kick all the time. And I would start to get bored with it. But what I noticed as my grade went up and I became brown belt, I actually quit just before black belt, but that's a whole other story. So, but as my grade went up, as I knew more, I loved doing those basic tools because I could perceive the whole energy of what I was creating in each punch, because you became more of the punch, you became more of the tool. So to me, it's like I get a new awareness of all the Access questions and all questions every single day. Like, what else is possible? Or how did I create this? That's one of my favorite. And you sort of like throw it away. How did I create this? Well, I didn't create this because you know what they did, blah, blah, blah. Nope. How did I create this? So start to look at the tools in a different way and ask, you know what, if I'm using this tool from question, and from the willingness to have anything show up, what would that be like? What energy would I have to be? And put it into that place. And it keeps growing and growing and expanding, and there's so much more that shows up. It's like, I do Emily, seal clap. I love having meetings with Emily. When we get excited, it's like, oh, seal clap, creation time. So somebody else had a question, I think, at the same time. I think it was a man.
Yes, Alan here. Hi,
hey,
Simone.
Alan.
Hi. I have just a quick one. So regarding this class, can we do it also online, like a sort of a taste, or only live class? Thank you.
What did we decide, Emily? That's your boss lady.
We decided live
Okay.
classes. Just so, yes, live.
So why don't we do that if they're a CF, because Alan is a CF,
Yes.
that they can do Zoom.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, because the thing is, and I'll tell you why, because it's so much, it really is way easier to do a class when everybody's in the room, because as you can see the whites of their eyes, you can see the changes that are occurring or the resistance. And so, you know, when you're having a break, everyone's having a break. Whereas if someone's live streaming it or doing that, you don't really know what's going on. You know, they could, you know, have come in 2 hours late, and there's this energy that goes you know, when people are coming in late or they're coming in just after lunch or something, it is a lot harder to live stream like that. And a Zoom, it's a little different because you've got everyone's faces in front of you. And if you've done enough classes, then I think if you're a CF, so then you can do a Zoom. But BFs, please just bring people live to class and practice. And I mean, it's quite confronting when they're right there as well. And maybe you could have both. I know there's a few facilitators that set up having people live and on Zoom.
What an awesome and quick creation. I love that.
Well, okay, so let me say, that is the joy of business.
Yes.
Like, joy of business is about being happy all the time. No, it's not. Some days business is really shit and it's really hard. And you go, what the fuck did I create this for? You know, that's not a question, by the way.
That's what say. That's why I love working with you.
As Marilyn said, that's not a real question. So, but what you do is you use the tools. And the joy of business is the willingness to change anything at any time that matches the energy of what you would like to create in the world. It's the willingness to lose everything. And everything, absolutely everything. And it's the willingness to have everything. It's the willingness to be so different so that you can be the business that everyone's going, what is she doing? It's like, how is she making that much money? Oh yeah, because she's in joy of business. She's changing things up. Just because she created something or he created something doesn't mean it has to be that way. I mean, I'm, you know, in Costa Rica at the moment, there's Choice of Possibilities, which if you can, I would highly recommend to jump on audio live, or you can quickly get on a plane if you're in America. If you're in Australia, it'd take you friggin' days, or Europe. But it's the first COP after the 7-day, and it's going to absolutely rock. Like Gary, I know is going to be amazing. But they're in Costa Rica at the moment for COP and then advanced body class with Dane, first time ever with Dane and Gary together, which is awesome. I was going to tell you a story. I was going to say something about that. Now I forget.
I think you were talking about indulging, maybe making the choice to go or not go, or no?
I think I was going to talk about something like that, and I can't remember. Anyway, there you go. Gone. Change. Choice, change, willingness to change anything. Gone. It's left me. It's pretty early in the morning, guys.
Simone, Mary Shrey has her hand up in the group for a question.
Go ahead. We're looking for you.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Simone. Vilma here. I have a question. For me, to be honest, it feels a little lighter when I first give somebody a taster of what access is, and then probably charge them. So somewhere I know I'm being in the conclusion maybe, or I'm not open to receive something like that. I can't really get it, but when I speak to someone about access, and at the first go I find it very, very heavy to charge them. So what am I missing here?
Well, it's a choice. And it's like, but is it creating something greater? Well, what judgment do you have about charging people? What judgment do you have about charging for sessions?
So I have this whole point of view that people don't really know about access consciousness, and they would be a little more open if I would give them a few clearings, a few verbal clearings.
Great conclusion. That's a great conclusion. That's an awesome conclusion. Excellent. You could probably add to that conclusion. So yes. So how much is that creating your business, or is it destroying your business?
It's sort of destroying it.
Yeah, so everything of that is time to Godzilla, and we destroy and uncreate it. We're writing on good and bad, pock and pot all night, shorts, boys and beyonds. Look, you've got to be willing for anything and everything to show up. I mean, I charge for my sessions, but then I'm on a lot of flights, and the amount of, stewards or air hostesses who have gone, what is it you do? Or I had one the other day, he was like, I just want to get off the plane and go and have a drink with you. He goes, you're the most interesting person I've ever had on here. So, I would talk to people on give them tools or not, or sometimes I'm quiet. You follow the energy. Follow the energy of who you talk to. I mean, you know, maybe the person at the supermarket, you end up talking to them, or it's like, or you might give away, someone calls up and it's like, you know, for 10 minutes, you're talking to them about tools. And then you're like, you know what, would you like to come to one of my classes, or would you like to book a session with me? It's like, honor you and honor the tools.
Okay.
But it's not like, I do not give away an access tool unless you pay me. It's not robotic. It's like, you know, follow the energy, but be willing to honor access and honor the tools and know that it's worth something. I mean, my God, there was a story years ago that Gary said to Dane, this is just after about, I think 18 months or 2 years after he had come along to Access. And he was saying that he had a money problem. And Gary said, no, you don't have a money problem. And he said, yes, I have a money problem. And this went back and forth. And Dane said, no, I have a money problem. And he said, no, he said, you have a receiving problem. So, and then he said, look, I'll prove it to you. He said, I'll give you $1 million right now, tax-free, if you go back to where you were before you came to Access. Now you no longer have the Access tools, $1 million. He was like, no way.
All right.
Not worth it. I mean, for me personally, it's like the money that gets spent on an Access class, the amount of classes that I've gone to, and in the first 10 minutes, it's like, there you go, there's my money's worth.
Oh, yes.
And then everything else is just like, you know, the icing on the cake. So start honoring you, and because it's not an honoring of the people either. I remember Shannon O'Hara once, I had an ex-boyfriend who committed suicide when I was 16, and I was talking to her about him, and I just met her like twice or something. And I needed more clarity as well, because when he committed suicide, it was very much just like, you know, oh, Simone, poor Simone, pat her on the back and now everything's okay. Let's not talk about it. That's the best way to deal with it. But for years, I could see Pete, I could hear him. I would sit in a room with my chair against the wall because I could see him. I'd walk in and go, he'd always be behind me. So I'd sit somewhere where he couldn't get behind me. But I thought, if I talk to someone about this, they're going to, you know, call the men in the white coats. It's like, you know, she's literally gone crazy. So when I came to Access, I had the freedom to actually talk about it to somebody. And I remember after about 10 minutes, Shannon looked at me and said, would you like to book a session with me? And I was like, oh, yes, I so would. And I sat down and I had a session with her, and it was created the greatest clarity for me that I'd had in years. So what if you, by offering a session, can create more freedom and clarity for people around the world than you deciding and concluding that you must give away the tools for free? Because the thing that you look at with that is how many people are actually willing to receive. People are way more willing to receive when they pay for something.
That's true. Yeah.
So give it a shot.
Yes.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
So any other questions?
Yes. Hi.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. It's something that's been around my mind a lot. Can you talk a little bit about being the invitation when you're engaging with people instead of pushing access towards them?
Yes. It's yeah, well, you said it actually, when you're engaging with people. Okay, it's like, what if you asked, you know, what would my molecules need to be and what energy would I need to be to engage with people? And I mean, I never talk about access unless someone actually asks me a question directly about access. I never start giving away tools, and I see people like shove access down people's throats, or access speak. Access speak drives me friggin' crazy. Now, what I did do, when I first did foundation, I looked at those words that we talk about with, you know, want, try, but, etc. And for myself, I took them out of my vocabulary because I wanted to see the difference in the energy and what I was creating or not creating. So I did it for me, but not like, you know, jumping down someone's throat. You said but, and it's like, oh my God, there's nothing worse than that. And then if you'll notice, like I would use the word but it doesn't have the same energy to it. So I used all the tools for me so that I could create something different for me, okay? Not about shoving it down someone's throat. So if you engage with people like Marnie Barenko, fabulous woman, she's my PA, she was telling me about how the other day she went to get her nails done, you know, and she said there's this one guy there who he doesn't like women very much, and he, you know, does things really quickly, and he never talks, and he never basically engages. And so she sat down and thought, I'm going to play with this and see what happens. So she literally asked the molecules of her body also to start engaging with him. And she just smiled and pulled energy from him and then started chatting a little bit. And she said, I'm not kidding, she said, I got the longest hand massage. And he was talking forever and he sat there, but she was like, oh, I'm engaging. So even when you go to get your hair cut, it's like, and it doesn't mean like nonstop talking. It's like you engage with the person, you become present with the person. You become aware of them as a being, as an infinite being. You don't see, you perceive the places where they have a limitation and a capacity to change, yet you don't call it out. I mean, how many times would that annoy you? Or it'd be so frustrating if someone went, you know, you could do this. And it's like, you know, I didn't ask a question. If they don't ask a question, you don't give them information. Don't ask a question, you don't give them tools. You could, if you desire, it's like, you know what, if you asked a question, you know, what would that be? But nothing, like, don't shove it down, engage. Practice engaging with people. Next time you go to a family, do a dinner party or something like that. And what happens is when you engage like that and you become so present with the molecules of you and of them and everything that's going on, and you live in interesting point of view, then people start to wonder who you are and what you do. So you might be engaging with the manicurist and the hairdresser, yet what ends up happening is more people show up to your classes. It might not be the hairdresser that comes along, but there's an energy that you start being that engages with the world that becomes a greater invitation than shoving access down people's throats. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Simone, this
Like,
is Karen.
be
I
you
have
and change the world. Dane's book, Be You and Change the World. I mean, at 7 Day, I loved it when, I mean, I've been to a million classes with Dane and, you know, it's 7 days. And I walked over to him and I said, hey, do you need anything? Can I help you with anything? And he looked at me and he went, yeah. He goes, just be you. And I went, easy. And it's so refreshing. It's like, just be you. Okay, I can do that.
All right, this is Karen. I have a follow-up question to engagement.
Sure.
I asked somebody if they would like to, you know, sponsor me for a class and so forth. And she finally came back and said, you know, I don't know anybody. All my friends, you know, are too busy, you know, and it was basically a no. So how do I engage when you get a no?
You know what? Thank you so much anyway. You know what? I'll thanks so much for giving it a try, because really what they did was try and move on.
So you don't engage with them anymore, or you just still
No,
stay in
you
touch with
know.
them?
I mean, Karen, is it going to work? Yes or no?
Oh, I get a no. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's that simple. Like, if you can even practice with questions too, functioning from yes and no universe. Now, it's this. It took me years to do this. Maybe you guys will just get it in one day. So it's like yes or no. It's like when you ask, truth, is this going to work? Is it going to create something greater? Yes or no? No. Okay. Move on.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And look for the connectors who, I mean, in truth, connectors are the people who talk to anyone. Like, they're the ones at the, you know, in the elevator who will smile at you, or the one on the plane who will always have a chat, or the one in the supermarket, you know, who has a chat. And quite often connectors can be annoying if you're not up for it, because all they're doing is like blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh my God, I wish they'd shut up. But they're a connector. So it might, someone you hire to connect for your class might not actually be someone that you want to hang out with that much. But guess what? In business, you're not looking for anyone to be your new best friend. You're not hiring a new best friend. You're hiring someone who's actually going to create something greater for your business. Okay?
Thank you so much, Simone.
You're so welcome.
So we're getting to the top of the hour. So I just wanted to tell everybody so we can kind of go through this again. Simone, her gift to all of you guys is bars.
Simone.
Oh, and Andrea's probably on a delay. Hold on one second, Andrea, if you still have a question. The PDF for the Joy Business book is on the Ning for you guys in all the languages, so you can download it there. It's just for you. It's her gift to you. And all of the information for this class is on the Ning. And it's really, you probably noticed that recently with the change to the bars manual and Gary and Dane throwing in new body processes, and now you have these intro classes, there's sort of this wonderful out of control creation that occurs with Access. And it really is like Simone saying, follow your knowing, ask questions, have fun. What if you can't get it wrong? And if you do have questions, email us at bars@accessconsciousness.com. And for Simone and a lot of these tools from Joy of Business, we are having, and I'll put this in the follow-up email, sort of a question and answer about Joy of Business. If you have questions about what that is, you can become a Joy of Business facilitator after you become a CF. And there's all sorts of different classes you can facilitate there. So we're kind of doing a Zoom about, if you have any questions about business, Joy of Business, those classes, what you can facilitate, what classes you can take. Like I said, Simone has a few classes, especially the one in Paris coming up. 3-day master
Don't
classes.
you just love saying the one in Paris?
The one in Paris.
See you in Paris. Come to Paris.
So we'll put all that in the follow-up email for you guys too, but just know there's more to continue with, and you can always contact or check out Joy Business at accessjoybusiness.com or Simone at SimoneMilasas.com too.
And the one in Paris as well, if Paris just sounds like the most awful place in the world to go to, you can always jump on live stream. And we've also got the, which I highly recommend, is I think at the end of next month, I'm doing a telecall that's just 3 telecalls in a row called Overcoming Problems in Business. So that might be a great one for you guys to jump onto. It's $300, global pricing applies. So
we'll put that in the follow-up email too.
Because you know what, you guys have chosen to have and be in business. So why not embrace it and start creating something that is hugely successful, the success that I know you deserve. And if every single one of you were making, at least $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, just on people coming to bars classes, just indulge in that for a moment. Where would the world be? Look at the changes that would be occurring on the world. So it's up to you. It's your fault if the world doesn't change. Just kidding. No, I'm not.
And then Andrea, I don't know if you're still on and want to ask a quickie or if you're on delay, but if you're still on, you can ask a quick one. And
she doesn't appear to be there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Simone, so much for you.
You're so welcome. This has been fun. Thanks, guys. I know why you like working with the bars facilitator.
I know.
They're like, it's nice.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.